guess on that financial aspect as well, there's the aspect of where somebody says, okay, he wants to take a second wife, and someone says, well, the criteria is 2 mansions and 2 of everything. Is it really 2 houses, or is it 2 private spaces? Or, I mean, people back before time, they could have had 2 tents. What is the criteria?
Well, 2 tents are 2 homes, right?
Exactly.
Or 2 apartments.
Exactly.
The point is it's 2 homes. But to say, for example, that you want to marry a second wife, you've married a wife, you've got a home, right? And you want to marry a second wife and move her in with your first wife and say, okay, you have a bedroom, that's your space. No, it's not acceptable unless they accept it. If both are in agreement, we're fine with it, etc. That's another situation. But does the second wife have the right to have her own living area, her own unit?
First?
Not necessarily exactly the same as the first, but to have her own, yes, she does. That is her right. Prophet Muhammad's wives all had separate apartments. They refer to them as hujurat. So the hujra could become very simple. It may only be 2 rooms.
Exactly. I mean, you could have a house become 3 flats if you so wanted to divide it up. I'm saying,
but
I don't want to make it impossible.
As long as you make distinct areas, because one single house, if you don't have 3 kitchens, you want to put 3.
Exactly.
You run into problems, because these are the areas where the problems arise, where the women, have to use common
shared facilities.
Yeah. So if you're able to split a house into 2, the upper part has its own unit, it has kitchen, it has all the necessary things, and the lower part, then that's possible.
Time is running, and I'd like to go back to the same question that I said, that the parents do not encourage their kids to marry at early age. Some of the parents would have the logic and rationale of saying that when we allow our kids to marry at young age, there is a concern that they might get a very quick divorce. How do you see this advice is compatible with pure Islamic perspective?
Well, the issue of quick divorce is not really an issue, in the sense that
is the age and factor young to be.
It's not going to change it, because people can get, if they get married at 39, they can still get a quick divorce. The potential is still there. Maybe they're more mature, so they may think things out. It's true in that sense. But if we weigh that minor possible benefit against the major harm which comes from the delay, we have to say that harm far outweighs the so-called benefit that you have identified. And we have to say that you are in fact going against the recommendation of the Prophet ﷺ, who said, "Oh, young people, get married."
Okay, so there is an encouragement in Islam to
marry young.
Marry young.
Yes.
To enjoy what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given you. And this is a way of continuing the human race. Yeah.
And I can say personally, my son, who was 17, at the time, I got him married. He wanted to get married. I didn't want him to have girlfriend relationships. So he got married. His wife was 18, she's from India.
He was 17 and she was 18. And how is their life?
They're fine. I mean, he is now, he's reached 30 and they have kids and they're fine, So I'm not saying...
They made you a grandfather at a young age.
Yes, I'm a grandfather already, yes.
Yeah. But you still encourage this, and you say that this is not the main factor for people to get divorced.
Yeah.
Once they get a job and they can afford a house, they can be responsible.
And even, actually, it's not necessarily that, because initially, when they got married, they stayed with us, with my family, So we helped them in the early stage until they got themselves on their feet.
So if the family, the father and the mother can help their child to get married and to live with them for some time until they become responsible, you do encourage that. Okay. This is very glad, and this is good tidings and good news for parents to encourage their kids to marry. And also, I hope that the kids would benefit from this and do that. Any final comment before we...
There's one more misconception or really question that seems to always crop up in the UK whenever, back onto the polygamy issue yet again, because this is one that seems to be so unclarified. So many people have the idea that you can only take another wife if there's a problem with the first wife. Can you any comments on that?
Well,
please?
In general, plural marriage is just a part and parcel of marriage in Islam. If the same reasons why a man may marry his first wife, he marries a second wife. It's not a requirement that he's unable to have children. First wife is, is infirm, is sick or whatever. These are not issues. I mean, there may be issues for people to think about doing it, but it's not a requirement, nor is it the requirement that the first wife's permission be gotten. And there's a lot of misconceptions around that. But of course, the issue comes back to issues of responsibility. That the man who considers taking a second wife should, be sure or feel certain that he's able to look after the two families. And he's not going to abandon one family to take on a second one, which unfortunately happens in some cases.
Any other issue you'd like to raise before we...
Another one last one really from me is that we've almost come full circle back to the start. We said that a Muslim man can marry a Christian lady, but a Muslim lady can't marry like a non-Muslim. Now, I think there's a sense of responsibility on the brothers to give like a level of priority for the Muslim sisters, because they don't have that option.
We come to the end of this episode. We thank both of you, and I hope that the viewers benefited from the input from Dr. Professor Bilal Phillips and from the participation of Brother Omar. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to reward you and to benefit you of what you've heard. Hopefully, inshallah, we'll meet again in another discussion group. Until then, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. This is your host, Mamdouh Muhammad.
Banks may or may not fortify your wealth. Investments may or may not multiply your wealth. But giving zakat certainly fortifies, multiplies, as well as purifies your wealth.
Support Peace TV. Send your donation in zakat to IRFI, Islamic Bank of Britain, 394 Coventry Road, Small Heath, Birmingham, UK. Postcode B100UF. Sort code 300083. Swift BIC code IBO BGB22. IBAN GB52LOYD 3096 3401 024192. Pound account number 011323001. Euro account 011323002. US dollar account 011323003. Please confirm your contribution at support@peacetv.org.
Support Peace TV, the solution for humanity. Give your zakat to Peace TV.